First one I told you about was done by Mark Schreiber. It's called Somewhere in Time. There's multiple editions of it. You'll see a blue and a gray and then a brown cover. I think the blue cover is the most recent one, but it's out of print. But Somewhere in Time, again, most libraries have a copy. There was a guy who did time here, it was one of three abolitionists who did time here beginning in 1841. He took his diary and his two buddies' diaries, put them into a book called Prison Life and Reflections.
Ooh.
His name is George Thompson. He talks extensively about his time here. There was a guy who did time in this prison and in Leavenworth, and I think his name was Reynolds, but the book is called The Twin Hells. And so it talks about time in both. There was a man who did time in Four House, the oldest building here. He was a fall guy in a national whiskey tax scandal. And I say that because the name of the book is The Secrets of the Great Whiskey Ring.
Oh, nice.
But his last name was McDonald. He was actually a Union general and did time in here. There was a woman who did time in the first building we were in back in the 19-teens. She did speak out against the war effort during World War I. Her name was Kate Richards O'Hare. And she was a very famous socialist, but she went on to be a prison reformer because of what she experienced here, and went on to be the assistant director of the California penal system after being an inmate here.
Wow.
And one of her books is simply called In Prison. It's about her time here. And there are other works of hers, and I think one of them is where her family took her letters home and put them together in a book, but you'll find other works of hers.
Yeah.
But one of them is simply called In Prison. You can kind of start there.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's any others. And two, when you're looking for these, like I said, they're on Nook and Kindle and Google Play. Look at all of them first, because sometimes four of them will make you pay, but one will have it for free.
Yeah.
So check them all before you pull the trigger on one.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the other one I was going to tell you about is the guy who I said did 17 years in the dungeon. He wrote a book called Buried Alive, 18 Years in the Missouri State Penitentiary. Now,
That's the one that came out with the, came out.
He was the one that they let his eyes readjust so he could still see.
Gotcha.
But his name is J.B. Johnson.
Okay.
And he talks about that.
Perfect.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're